Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. Before I begin, I want to ask you, if you would, if you have indeed experienced a dog attack in your life, either past or present, in recent months or years, would you please leave it in the comment section below your story? You can make it as brief or long as you deem it necessary. I'll read it. I would appreciate it. And with that said, let me move on with this subject. I want to first say that never say never. It's funny or odd to me how so many people in our world, our society, always assumes that tragedy will never happen to them. Someone always gets mugged, assaulted, raped, victimized on some level or scope every single day, every few minutes and even seconds of the day, somewhere in the world. They oftentimes never thought it would ever be them, but it was. We are no different. The scripture says time and chance happens to all men, like the fish that's caught in the evil net. The fish never knows when it's going to be its time to be caught or even die. So neither does man. So if you were attacked by a vicious dog, we want to talk mainly about and focus on the medium to larger dogs, such as a pit bull, which is commonly referred to in the news media for attacking small children and people and creating a lot of damage and destruction and even killing people, to include children. German Shepherds, Rottweilers, Mastiffs, much larger dogs. Uh, you want to remember, just as that animal can harm you, you have the ability to harm that animal as well. Now, let me tell you something from a self-defense standpoint, and this applies both to human beings and to animals. Oftentimes, I've heard people say, as it relates to self-defense, you should carry your keys in your hand or your pocket, and you should carry an ink pen or a Kubotan or these small things that you can use as a weapon, or even a little vial of mace, spray mace or pepper spray. The problem is, in most instances, if you have an individual who doesn't have the right frame of mind to use those as tools, then chances are they're going to panic. If they have mace or pepper spray, they're going to spray themselves, or they're going to panic and they're going to drop the keys or the ink pen or the tool that they have, the little knife or what have you. So it is imperative that whatever you use as an extension of your own hand, that you familiarize yourself with those weapons and those tools. It's imperative. You must do this on a regular basis. So make sure that you have frequent training sessions with a friend or loved one, and go through the scenario of you being attacked by a person and even a dog. All right? So with that said, I said or stated that a dog can be harmed just as that dog is attempting to harm you. A dog has eyes. It breathes oxygen just like you. It walks just like you. It just has four legs. So you must realize that if you have the right presence of mind, you can harm the dog or stop the dog from inflicting injury on you, or even more injury if the dog has already engaged in attacking you. Okay? I would discourage people from punching a dog in the head, because quite often you can hit the dog in the mouth and cut your hands by the dog's teeth. Okay, so you want to avoid punching them towards their face. If you're going to use a closed hand strike towards the dog's face, and I'm not contradicting what I just said, I'm talking about punches like this. Don't use those types of punches. If you're going to use a closed fist technique, I would prefer the hammer strike on top of the dog's head towards the dog's eyes and the dog's nose. Okay? You just have to grow a pair. A lot of times people, when they're attacked by a dog, they're so fearful of that animal that they freeze. Once you do that, you have given it more incentive to continue its attack. When you become courageous, even through your fear, you have to work through the fear. When you become courageous, the dog sees you as a potential threat to it in many instances. Now, when you're dealing with the breed of dogs such as a pit bull that's been trained, that particular dog that has been trained to attack and trained to fight, you have a different issue on your hand. The dog typically is going to be very relentless in its attack, and it's going to latch onto you if it can and not let you go. It's going to shake you. It's going to bite pretty hard. It's going to be painful. So you must have a plan, and you practice these things before you ever encounter a dog. So if it's a boy dog and you can ascertain that it's a boy and you see testicles, I would grab them one or two hands if both hands are free, crush them in your hand and try to rip them off. That's one thing. Another thing that you can do, since the dog has 4 legs, grab 1 or 2 legs and break that dog's legs off. I'm serious. The dog's legs are much more fragile than human legs because they're less dense than a human being's legs. So pull those legs until you hear them crack and go to the next leg to disable that dog so that it cannot pursue and attack against you. Even a pit bull, a violent pit bull, if he can't walk and you cripple him, chances are he's going to stop doing what he's doing. And another thing you can do is punch the dog in his ribs if the dog is close enough and the dog's ribs are just below his chest to the side. Start punching that dog in the ribs, and if the dog is closer, use your elbow towards the ribs to stop the dog from breathing by puncturing the lung maybe with the dog's own ribs. And again, towards the eyes, I would take a finger. You have to have courage. If you're being bitten, you better have courage to harm that animal so that it can stop its attack on you. Take your finger, stick it inside the dog's eye. Take your thumb, stick it inside the dog's eye. Blind the dog. And chances are that dog is going to stop attacking you. This is just a few things that you can do. One final thing, if you don't have a weapon on you and that you don't have the presence of mind to use that weapon, please consider taking up gun lessons so that you can carry concealed and practice these scenarios when you are out and about. Go over a friend's house, family member's house, go to the range and practice the scenario of pulling your weapon. Become very, very familiar with your gun. Okay? So that when you are confronted with an animal or even a human being, that you are not so afraid that you lose control and drop your weapon. Okay? So you have to be very, very confident when you have an extension to your hand, such as a gun, a firearm. So I would take that training up if I were you. So again, never assume that it can never be you, because it's always someone. Who's to say that you won't be that someone that's confronted by that next dog? God forbid that this will happen to us. So be careful and make sure that you govern yourselves accordingly, and stop walking around blindly thinking that these types of instances only occur with other people. This is Brother Teacher. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Thank you.